Neck Nation, welcome to another podcast. This one's going to be exciting. This is episode 8, titled Hard Work or Hardly Working. And I'm telling you what, we say this every time, but Neck Nation, get plugged into your power station because there will be fire on the wire today, Austin. I'm telling you, hard work, I freaking love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm in it to win it. And I just want to go to work.
Yeah, absolutely, kid. And I noticed you got your hat on backwards today. What's the hat on backwards all about?
Bro, are we here to work? We're talking about work.
We're talking about work, brother. Right. So the hat goes on backwards
when
we work.
I'm telling you what, you tuck your jeans in your boot, you turn your hat backwards, it's like a lever. Have you seen that show Over the Top?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's like a lever. You got to turn it backwards.
you know what I mean?
Man. You don't want to lose your lid.
When the hard work begins, the hat goes backwards.
Yeah,
awesome,
let's go.
Man. Well, I'm excited that we're talking about this today. It actually made me think back to a time back, not my very first job, but one of my first jobs. I worked at a golf course, and I was a cart attendant and a marshal and all kinds of stuff while I worked there. But we worked for this guy. He was an Italian, and we called him the Italian Stallion, man. And this guy, he was strict, and when he wanted stuff done, you got it done.
Right.
At least from my point of view. And I worked with, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 other kids my age, and then some of the older gentlemen would work like the day shift, so we would work after school and whatnot. And one day I was there on a weekend, and he's all like, I want you to go out to the 18th hole, which was kind of close to the clubhouse. And he goes, and I want you to fill all the divots. And I'm just sitting here thinking in my head, man, there's got to be over 1,000 divots out there. And this is 400 yards long and 75 yards wide, right? This fairway.
Right.
And he wants me to take this sand and grass seed mixture out of this 5-gallon bucket and walk up and down this fairway and fill these divots in between these golfers. And so reluctantly, I went out and I did it. And I'm just sitting there thinking the whole time, like, man, he would never ask anybody else. The Italian Stallion would never ask anybody else that works here. None of the other guys that I work with, he would never ask them to come out here and do this work. And so when I finished, it took me a couple hours, dude. That's a lot of area to cover.
Yeah, it is.
And I walked back in there and I said, hey, Italian Stallion, I said, why would you ask me to do this? Because you wouldn't ask anybody else to do this. Why do you give me this kind of grunt work to do when I work so hard for you? And he goes, well, he says, first of all, you're the only one that would do it. He says, I could ask the other guys to go do it, and they would just sit out there in the golf course or in the golf cart for a couple hours, twiddling their thumbs, and then come back and say that they were done, and they would never have done it. And he said, secondly, and most importantly, you're the only one coming back next year. None of the other guys are getting invited back to work here next year. And it was kind of a cool thing to work at a golf course as a young kid, right? I mean, driving golf carts, driving tractors, and all kinds of stuff. It was cool. So it was kind of a privilege, and it was a competitive. There was a competition to get those jobs. So I learned, that was one lesson that I learned about hard work early on. So I'm excited that we're talking about this today and bringing this to Neck Nation.
Oh, that's a great story. I've got several like that, and I think I was the same age when I went to work for a tire store, and they looked at me, and bro, my nickname was Half Pint. I mean, I was small, right? And so reluctantly they gave me the job, and the manager told the other the vice president or the other co-manager, whatever. Yeah. He said, he ain't going to last, right? These tires are big, they're heavy, you got to brake them, you got to do all these things. He ain't going to last. Let's just give him a shot, whatever. And so I said, what's the first job? And he said, I need you to go get all the dead tires out of the bin, all the ones that were old and come off. And he goes, pull them all out. There's crap that's inside of them. It's made a mess out back in our dead tire bin, and pressure wash that whole area and then put them back. I mean, that's getting on the bus to get off the bus. So I pulled the tires out to put them back, right? And clean that area. And I was filthy. I mean, I was dirty, and it was hot, and the sun was beating against that concrete,
Oh, yeah.
And so it was hot back there, but I got it done, and I went and told the manager, I said, okay, Jimbo, what else? And he said, looks pretty good. I said, yeah. He goes, that garbage can stinks. I said, yeah, it does. Stinks bad. I've been out here working by it for the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he goes, we need to clean it. I said, you want me to clean it? And he looks at me, he goes, yeah. Yeah, clean it. It's one of the big ones, one of the big dumpsters.
Yeah. Oh man.
And we throw all kinds of crap in there.
Oh, dude.
Right? So, dude, I was hammered down.
There you go.
I jumped in there like I was looking for something to eat. You know what I mean? So I jumped in, pulled all the garbage out, went and got the cleaning solution, soaked it, cleaned it, scrubbed it, pressure washed it, and then pressure washed all the crap down, into the drain, and put the garbage back in, put a couple hangers in there, those little trees that smell good.
Yeah, there you go.
And I went and got him. I said, hey, it's done. He
All
comes out,
clean.
looks at it, and he looks at me and shakes his head, and he's like, all right. Well, fast forward 6 months later, I was a head mechanic and running the back room.
That's awesome.
So the reality is, I think, I really look at it now, Austin, and it's like, this generation, we are, you hear the work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
We hear it all the time, right?
Yep.
And I think that's smart. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Let's get innovative. Let's work smarter. Let's figure out a more expeditious way to get things done and have a process. There's nothing wrong with that. Right?
Absolutely not.
That's a lot like plan your work and work your plan.
Yeah.
So, and I've done the same thing over business. I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years, and I've done a lot of different things, and I'm still, I'm still running. And I tell you, if you look back at all the different ventures and all the different things, there's failures, there's wins, there's a whole bag of mixed, emotions in that 27 years. But if you look, and if I had to point at one thing that was my mantra or my badge of honor for a successful venture, it's hard work. Because I'm not the most talented person, but I guarantee you I'm going to outwork you.
Yeah.
And I'll say it right to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no doubt, Neck Nation. Kit can outwork just about anybody. So
yeah, well, that's just one of those things. If you can control something, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but when my head goes down and my tail goes up, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Right? Because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, we've said that before.
Yeah, when you see
so
all
true.
these people in professional sports, some of them are wicked talented.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how far they would go if they plugged in a little bit of work ethic and pride in what they're doing to that same process of their talent?
No kidding. How much further you could go.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. And even if you don't have the best talent, or if you're not the smartest, if you put hard work first and you outwork everybody else next to you, I'll tell you what, you develop a talent.
You do.
And you develop the know-how, and you develop those experiences. Because success, that's where you're going, whatever you're doing, right? When you started at the golf course, and when I started as a youngster at the tire store or whatever, success was we got the job, we kept the job, and we measured our characteristic from the work we did.
Yeah.
And now as we get older, it shapes and looks a little bit different. But the reality is hard work is what's got us where we're at today. And so I told the kids all the time, the way you do anything is the way you do everything, and it just gets repeated, but repetition's a mother of skill, and it's good to hear that, because you can't be a hard worker and a performer in your job and be a sloth or
everywhere else.
You can't.
No, it doesn't work. No.
They don't go hand in hand. So
it's a mindset.
It is
hard
a
work
mindset.
is a mindset. And it ekes into it doesn't eke, it infiltrates every area of your life for the better.
It does. So being it is something that I'm very passionate about, because at a young age, working and growing up on the farm, I'm telling you, dude, those hay bales, those 85-pound hay bales, you got 4 fields of them, and
they don't move themselves.
They don't.
No.
They don't. And then you throw the first row on the trailer, dude, the second and the third and the fourth row, they get a little taller, it gets a little harder.
Oh, it does.
And you get a little more tired.
Yep.
That's when you figure out who you are, right?
Yep.
That's when your character comes out, and you either say, this sucks, or you find the fun in it, and you push yourself. And you push yourself past that point where you're sore and da-da-da-da-da, and your mental is saying, hey, dude, this isn't that much fun. But I look at some of the kids and, just in the neighborhood here at NECKROOTS Ranch, and I look around, and you can see a real paradigm shift from when I was growing up working on the farm to today. It's like when there's an activity or a service project or something that's going on, kids will look at it and say, in their mind, without saying anything, that's not that much fun.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
And so they won't go do the wind blew all the trees down or whatever, and maybe that's not something that they want to do, or they'll judge it based on how much work it is. And the reality is, real satisfaction and real fulfillment comes from hard work.
Yep, I love that you said that, because I was thinking about that. If you take a day and you spend your whole day doing something productive, at the end of that day you may be dead tired, but man, are you proud of yourself. Yeah. You've got a sense of pride about what you had accomplished that day.
Yep.
And that's all thanks to hard work. Now, take the opposite of that. If you spend all day sitting on the couch doing nothing and being unproductive and being lazy and watching TV, at the end of the day, you're like, man, I wasted my whole day, and you don't feel good about yourself. So hard work is definitely a mental and mind and confidence and pride booster.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what built the promised land in the very beginning? I mean,
hard work,
right?
Man.
You can't you can't just wish for it.
Yeah.
You got to work for it.
Yeah.
Right? Our founders didn't roll in here and go, I wish for this, I wish for that, and blow out their candles or whatever. It didn't happen like that.
No.
Bro, they worked for it. They are grinders, right? They're growlers.
Yep.
What do we got to do? And they get it done. There was a story, we were at a museum one time doing just studying the history with the kids, and there was a story about early pioneers, and they were in this very challenging spot. Right? Very, very challenging spot. And that's why I just love our roots, man. I love remembering our roots, because here they are in something that's virtually impossible. They're tired. They have nothing. They're moving, right? And they're on the wagon train and heading to a new place, and they're all in there praying. And one of the leaders of the wagon train comes up and says, "What are you doing?" And he said, "We're praying for help." "Is that good?" "Yeah, it's good."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, well, you can't pray your way out of this situation, so get out and push."
Yeah.
Right? And it's such a strong message.
Yeah, if you're going to pray for something in that situation,
you got to put in the
strength.
work.
You put in the work.
Yep, you put in the work. And the only place I think success comes before work, the only place, is in the dictionary.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes hard work. I mean, success is the reward of hard work. Hard work's the price.
Yeah.
Right? And so teaching the kids how to work hard, it's tough, man.
It is.
It's really hard.
Yeah, I know you and I have had these conversations because, we've talked about, I've got young kids, you've got some older kids, and I talked to you about, what do I do? How do I be a good parent? How do I raise my kids so that they grow up and be as good as yours, right? And it's hard work. If you want your kids to work hard, if you want your kids to be responsible, if you want your kids to excel in life, it's hard work on your behalf in order to help them get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think hard work, I'm going to talk about my kids in a minute, but because I am proud of them. They're hard workers. And every time I tell them, man, anytime you go anywhere, find out where you go to do a job, find out who the hardest working dude there is. Find him.
Yeah.
Watch him, study him, and then do 10 times more than him.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no secret formula, right? If he's the bar, raise that bar.
No kidding.
Right? But do it consistently. Consistently, going and working hard one time, you didn't learn nothing.
No.
Right? You learned you had it in you that day. But consistency pays. Consistently working hard, day in and day out, even when you don't feel like it, then you're winning.
Yeah. And you know what? With regard to consistency, we talked a little bit about what causes people to work hard. And I think there's a correlation here. I don't want to say it's a causation, right? But between being competitive and working hard. I know you're competitive, Kit. You're super competitive. You're always dude, it doesn't matter what it is. Kit's got to win. I'm competitive too, right? I mean, racing dirt bikes, racing cars, whatever it is. I love to compete. Dude, if you talk to my mom about my dad and I, it's always about who's the best. We've competed with just the whole life is nothing but competition. But that drive to compete also drives hard work. And it's not the only thing that drives hard work, but it certainly helps, right? And I've noticed that throughout my life is, You know, whether I was bagging groceries at Albertsons or whatever it was, I had to be the quickest bagger. I had to go get the carts the quickest, or whether I was putting apples away in the produce, I had to have the best looking apple presentation. It just had to be the best. It just always had to be the best. I had to be the winner.
Yeah. So I told the kids second place, first loser, but not in a bad way.
No.
Right? It's competition breeds success. And you got to learn to lose with pride. And it's interesting because when my son started wrestling, and I mean, that picture of him on the wall right there where he's kneeled down at a state wrestling tournament in front of everybody, hundreds of people there. And you know what? He don't care what people think. He goes and finds his power. Whatever he's got to do to get ready to pin and win, he'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and raising them and watching them grow, I tell you, the first time he started wrestling, came home and said, Dad, he's got this little thing, you know, he's 6 years old and he's got this piece of paper. And he goes, read this, check this out. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yep, Daddy like. Right?
Yeah, let's go wrestling.
Let's go. You know, I didn't think it'd come this early, but yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
He goes, I want to try it. I go, you don't try it. Either do or you don't.
Yeah.
So do you want to do it? Yeah, I want to do it. I said, okay. And he did all right on his first match, but it was interesting because me and my wife were sitting there, and you know my unicorn wife, dude. She's the sweetest, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When he beat the first kid, she felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Right? And then when my kid got demolished, right, and his face is stuffed on that mat, and he's eating the mat, and you know, and she felt terrible.
Yeah, and she wanted it to end. She's like, no, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, honey, it's not ballet, so just let it go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she felt so bad for him. You know, her mother's heart was going out for this little 6-year-old, my son, and she said, we got to say something to him. And I said, no, let's not say nothing. All you got to do is be there for him, and don't say a word. And she goes, why? I go, because I want to see where his mind's at, right? We got to see where his mind's at. Let's see where he's at mentally first, right? Then we can respond accordingly. You don't want to respond before you know where he's at.
Right.
And so he came over and he sat down, and, dude, it was a Paul Harvey pause, dude. It took a minute. You know what I mean? We're like,
sure.
I put my arm around him. And I said, shake it off. You're all right. And just sat there quietly.
Yeah.
And he's got his head down between his knees. And, I got my arm around him. And she's like nudging me, say something. I'm like, let's see what comes out. Yeah. Because if you want to know what someone's thinking, listen to what they're saying in moments like that, right?
Yeah.
And so finally pulled his head up and he says, Dad, when's practice?
Dude, proud dad moment right there, man.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
So, I mean, win or lose, he's a winner, dude. If you keep that mindset, he's going to be a hard worker, right?
Yep.
And he is. He's a hard worker. But does that mean when we said, hey, son, go do your chores, he was like, yeah, no problem? No.
No, not at first.
No, dude, it takes time. And it's a process. But there's just an unbelievable satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from knowing, like really knowing in your soul that you're a hard worker.
Yeah.
Right? No one can take that away from you. Have you noticed on these podcasts, Austin, that those things that are so important and so precious and mean so much, and I would like to underline them as priceless, they can't be purchased, man.
No, they can't.
You can't buy that.
No.
Right? So no matter how much money you have, you can't buy back time, and you can't buy back special things like this. Like hard work is something, no matter what you're going through, nobody can take it from you.
Yeah.
They can't snatch that up.
No.
Right? So there was a study that was conducted with a bunch of elementary kids, and it really puts your focus and attention on what is hard work and what does it do for us, and how does that fit into our emotional categories, right, in our minds.
Yeah.
And so they took these elementary kids and they put 10 of them on one table, 10 on the other, and they put this puzzle in front of them. And this puzzle was way out of their age group. It was a difficult puzzle. It was complicated, and it real eccentric. Really hard, right? Detailed.
Gotcha.
And so they put this puzzle in front of them, and they told the one group, you work on this puzzle, and then there's another group on the other table, and they said, you're going to work on the same puzzle. We just want to see how you guys come together as a group and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was hard. They didn't get very much of it done. Well, they pulled the first group, Group A, we'll call them, back into this room, and they talked to them, and they said, you guys did such a good job on your puzzle, even though it's hard. and that puzzle's complicated, and it's over your age group, right? And our expectations were, a little high, and so, but you guys did so good for your age group, and the reason, and this is what they put into this Group A's mind, the reason you did so good is because you're so smart. You guys get it. Upstairs, man, you're wired right. You're smart. You're smart as a whip. So we want you to go back out there and celebrate that little victory of being smart. And we're going to bring you another challenge. And then they took the other group, Group B, back, and they talked to them and they said, hey, we know this was above, your age group, and this was a hard puzzle. Told them the same thing.
Yeah, same story.
And they said, but you guys did so good. And the reason you did so good and excelled and got a lot of it done is because you're hard workers. Like, you are just the hardest workers. We've never seen a group work so hard. Keep up that hard work. I mean, and they pounded that into their head, right?
Yeah.
So Group B rolls out of there, and they go sit down at the table, and there's a new puzzle, and this one's a little harder, even more challenging than the challenging puzzle that they had in front of them the first time.
Okay.
So they did it again, gave them a little bit more time, and they analyzed and watched the difference between Group A and Group B. So Group A, they were working on it, but some of them weren't all participating. They were messing around and this and that, and then they got distracted and they were chit-chatting about something else and that didn't have a whole lot to do with the puzzle. They're probably talking about the smarty pants dance because they're smart. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? They didn't tell us. But Group B, the interesting thing is Group B, the hardworking group, they told was, hey, you're the hardest workers.
Yeah.
They're over there grinding it out, man. They're in it to win it. And they're trying to figure out how to put this puzzle together. And they're making their plan and planning their work. And these guys are working on this, and then this kid's over here working on this next section that's going to go with this section. And they got more of it done than they did on the easier puzzle. And the whole underline of this study was the satisfaction and the confidence builder and the value builder that it gave to be known as a hard worker.
Yeah.
Was so beneficial, more beneficial than the other example. Does that mean hard work beats smarts, this, that? No, they're both important.
They are.
Right? But knowledge is the potential and hard work's the power.
Right.
Right.
And we've talked about this where you can be the smartest guy. Ideas are great. Ideas are awesome. Some of the greatest things have happened because, somebody had an idea, but more important than the idea, or just as important as the idea, is the ability to execute the idea. And that is the hard work. I can sit down and think of, 100 great ideas. And at the end of the day, what do I have, Kit?
You got a bunch of great ideas.
I got 100 great ideas.
Yeah.
I don't have anything in my hand until I actually get to work and I go and build or make something happen. So execution is where it's at. And I think we've said that before, but. Yeah,
hard work's so important. And the day and age that we live in now, everything is streamlined, everything is faster. We're finding better ways to do things, and I think that's great. Innovation is awesome, right? Working smarter is awesome. I did it. I mean, our crew did the work of double the crew our size. There was a time when we were out working for a batch plant, and they had 20 guys doing the same, 200-300 yards that we were doing, was 280 yards. We started an hour behind them, and we were side by side because they wanted to make sure this plant was open. We had to pave all this concrete and get all this work done. It was a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
We roll in there with 5 guys, and my son, dude, I'm telling you, 17 years old, bro. What kid shows up 2 hours away? The job was 2 hours away from the ranch.
Oh.
Bro, he shows up at 4 a.m. That means he was up at 2:30. Yeah. He was doing the comb his hair at 2:30. He threw a hat on, but anyway. But I mean, he had to get there.
Yeah.
He had to be dependable. But what's interesting is, and that morning was awesome because I'm like, I wonder if he'll be a little bit late. No, bro. They learned. But here we are side by side. And it was a great comparison because we did work smarter. Did we work hard? Yeah, we worked hard. But we did add the machines that we had, the laser screeds that did all that heavy lifting and stuff. We motored through it. So I think it's important, but hard work never gets replaced, and so I mean, I started a business talking about the kids. I was sitting down and it was really heavy weighing on my mind. How do I teach these kids how to work? Getting them to mow the lawn and do the chores around the ranch and this and that. And those things, they'll do them. That's great. But there's a difference between chores and work.
I think so. Yeah.
Dependability wise, are they the same to us parents? Absolutely, they're the same. But to really embed that ethical hard work, that to their characteristic into their minds, and to be proud of it, and to make sure they understand the fulfillment that they feel and where it comes from,
right,
is tough. Right?
It is.
It's always a challenge.
And I think one of the differences too, as you were talking about that, is when you're doing your chores, you've got responsibilities to yourself and responsibilities to your parents. Now, we should always have ourselves, we should always take ourselves seriously. We should always want to do things better for ourselves. But in a situation where you're working, you've got responsibilities to other people, right? And there's that sense of pressure, and then that creates that sense of responsibility along with the hard work.
So in trying to figure out 8 years ago, they were at that age, man. They were there.
That's awesome.
They were, how old were they? Yeah, they were 12.
Pretty young. Yeah, I remember 12 and 10.
Yeah, 12 and 10-ish. Yeah, you're right. 12 and 10. And I thought, you know what? I told my wife, let's set them up a business that they own.
Yeah.
So they'll have a sense of responsibility, a sense of ownership, right? And I thought we would just do it in the summers. Oh, no, we went whiskey cat wild and did a full-blown thing, tractors, dump trucks, the whole deal, right?
Yep.
But man, the pride they took in it was unbelievable. And during that process of teaching them how to work and work hard, I would tell them the importance of going to bed early. They want to have a late night with their friends. Well, you can't take their agency away. You can't take their decision making away. You can't take the fun away from being a kid either.
Right.
Right. And so I was very, I was very cautious about not making it just about work, so they resented it either. So I'd make sure they had their time to mess around. But when there was something important or a big job to do the next day, and they wanted to have a late night, instead of me saying, that's a bad idea, I said, dude, it's on you, man. It's your business.
Yeah, right.
You know what we got to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there was only one time that I was pulling out of here, the old flatbed, the old night train was pulling out of here at 5 a.m., and they heard that turbo wind up, wow, and they're like, and I knew they weren't up. Bro, they come motoring out of there, their belt in their hand, their boots in their hand, they're chasing the night train up the driveway, and I seen them. But I just kept going.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're texting, calling. I'm like, bro, sorry, man. We got to go warm up the rig, warm up the tractors, hook on the trailers. I'll see you on the job. Well, how am I going to get there, Dad? I said, go wake up Mommy.
Oh.
And so that one time when they got to the job, right, the guys were heckling them a little bit, and
I'm sure.
My son walks up. He's like, sorry, Dad. I said, sorry, don't fix it. You know what fixes it, son? Yeah, be on time.
Yeah.
And if I'm counting on you, right, just like you count on me, I said, I'm counting on you. He's like, well, okay. And I said, but I'm glad you're here. And I didn't want to, hammer on him too hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Having Mom drive you to the job in an environment like that, dude,
that's enough.
You don't have to say anymore, right?
Right.
And so the guys gave him a hard time. He's like, yeah, Mommy, get you breakfast? He's like, no. But those lessons were so good and so valuable that they learned in showing up and being on time. And I'm telling you right now, dude, 3, 4 a.m., you tell any 16, 17-year-old kid, you got to be on the job, and we're going to grind it out, and we're going to get dirty, and it's going to be a hard day. Be there on time. How do you teach that that's going to be exciting and to be dependable and to show up? You have to teach the fulfillment and that success and what it feels like to embody being a hard worker and using that as a badge of honor, because it is. Anybody, any powerful person in this earth around us, I don't care who they are, they have integrated hard work into their routine.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's part of the success pattern.
It is.
It really is.
Yep.
And so, I'm proud of the kids. And you know this, Austin, I didn't know. I told my wife, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm getting through to them. I really don't. But I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep giving them the life lessons, and I'm going to keep grinding. And it hit me, you know, I can't armchair quarterback hard work into my kids. The only way I could go do it was by example.
Showing them.
Yeah. So I'd grind it out.
Yeah.
And that way they could see it. It's monkey see, monkey do, dude. I was their hero, and so they'd see it and they're like, me too.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to. You can't just say, hey, dad's busy. Dude, one thing that's priceless again is time. The kids know when you give up your time and you get on their level and you're teaching them something, they might not act like it or say it, but they know you're lovingly giving your time and your influence to them.
It means the most to them.
It does. It means the most.
More than anything else.
And I don't want to read it because I'm going to cry like a baby.
Yeah.
But my kids, when they left the ranch, you know, and they're out on their own, dude, I'm telling you right now, and I was hoping that this would get through to them, and I was hoping that the day would come. And I got letters that say, Dad, thank you so much for teaching me the value of hard work.
Yeah.
Because I look around where I'm at right now, and dude, the world's a bunch of cows, man. We're raising cows.
Yeah.
They ain't buffalo. They ain't working hard.
Yeah.
And he said, Dad, I'm the hardest worker out here. I'll never dishonor your name, and I'm working hard, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that they get it. Even when you think they don't, they do. But you got to be that example, right? You got to be willing to freaking growl it out yourself. And so, hard work, man, I'll tell you what, I don't care what your IQ is. What's your attitude, and are you willing, right? Are you willing to work hard? You're
going to get it done. So that's awesome. So Neck Nation, let's work hard, right? Let's put our heads down. Let's work hard. Let's take pride in our outputs, right? Let's, Kit, you told me something, and I got to share this with Neck Nation. We should be fighting and working as hard as the third monkey that was trying to get on the ark, right?
Hey.
Let's work that hard.
Yep. If you're gonna fight, dude, fight like the third monkey trying to get on Noah's ark.
Fight like the third monkey. So awesome. Well, if you like the message that you've heard today, be sure to like this video and subscribe. Share the video. The more people that see this, hopefully the more that we can bring hope and inspiration into their lives. But for now, bless up, Neck Nation.
Bless up, Neck Nation. Let's go.